Greetings, fellow anime fans. There are not many subscribers left to 1,000. Support the channel by subscribing, and we're going to start. A dark soldier named Dariel stands before the generals of the Lord of Darkness, where he is informed that he is dismissed and expelled from the army. For someone who is not able to conjure up even a simple spell has no place with them. Yes, the last general had a lot of love for him, and that's why he managed to last so long. But that ended as soon as he retired. Now Dariel goes on a free journey to begin a completely new life. But after wandering through the woods for a few days without a crumb of food in his mouth, he collapses without strength. Just as a girl jumps over him, she flees the monster. She is a human, and he is a demon. Demons are not much different from humans, only that they have magic, and humans have adventurers and heroes. But he decides to save the girl and pounces on the monster with his bare hands and immediately gets hit. As he falls to the ground, he notices a knife, a weapon of men. A shame for a dark soldier to use such a weapon, but since he is no longer one of the dark warriors, he throws away his principles and grabs the knife. Remembering how men wielded weapons in combat, he repeated the grip and pierced the monster ape. A girl named Marika decides to take him to her village to thank him with lunch for his rescue. There she introduces him to her parents. Dariel tells him what happened to him and why he ended up in the woods. Of course, without going into detail about the fact that he served in the demon army. Marika, hearing the story, cried and offered to stay in the village, because he had nowhere else to go. As the village is now in decline, there are many vacant rooms. I am now in the midst of enemies and could be exposed at any minute, so I have no reason to linger here. Although I have already found 2 reasons. Thus Dariel stayed to live in the village. The next day, Marika's father, who is also the head of the Adventurers Guild, hereafter referred to as the Head, offers Dariel to join the guild. He tries to skip joining, as demons cannot pass the rite of passage and he will be exposed. But who asks him? You can say that he was forcibly enrolled in the adventurers. Each adventurer has an aura that attracts one of the weapons, and during the test it turns out that Dariel has a disposition to all types of attacks and defenses. The head wants to give the first task for the adventurer, collecting herbs. Since the only adventurer in the village is squeamish about these tasks, and they have accumulated quite a lot. He also warns that a dangerous monster has appeared nearby, which this adventurer has never been able to defeat. It turns out to be the monkey that Dariel defeated, saving Marika. So Dariel fulfilled his first order without even knowing it. Now he wants to fulfill his order consciously. Marika keeps him company. She explains what the herbs look like and what they are used for. While collecting, they encounter a reindeer who is fighting a monster. They decide to slaughter both of them. When they bring the loot back to the village, it turns out that Dariel has once again fulfilled the order of the village adventurer. Life went his way. He was already used to life in the village. Coming to the guild, the head warns that not so far away announced a terrible monster. Although he has engaged adventurers from another city, still need to be on the alert. Except that the head is worried about the second adventurer gas hit, as if he would not try to eliminate the monster himself. Dariel offers to go after him and bring him back to the village. Marika asks to go with him, but he refuses as it is dangerous. She understands and helps him get ready to go. While searching for gas hit, he stumbles upon the trail left by the monster snake and realizes that the adventurers who were supposed to deal with this monster missed him, and he approached the village. But it's too late, the monster is chasing gas hit. Dariel wants to apprehend the monster, but it pays no attention to him and continues chasing its victim. Then he attacks it and damages the serpent. Now he has her attention. She strikes him with her tail. He holds back the blow, but the sword fails and splinters. Dariel quickly decides to hurl a shard of the sword right into the monster's mouth, thereby slaying it. Gashita is wounded, but Dariel has the antidote Marika gave him. He gives first aid with the help of improvised herbs. The young adventurer asks how he knows all this. Dariel says he learned it all while gathering herbs. From that moment on, Gashita changed his opinion of Dariel and began to idolize him. Dariel asks the head why there are so many empty houses in the village. The head tells him that a mithril mine not far from the village used to belong to humans. At that time, life was thriving in the village, but when the demons took over the mine, life in the village went down the drain. He decides to visit the old duty station, hoping to negotiate a supply of at least a small amount of mithril. Using a divine disguise, he sneaks inside and discovers that the place is not guarded at all. Entering the mine, he meets his former subordinates, the knockers. They are pleased to meet him and tell him that they are treated badly and their mining quota is quadrupled. While the point is being made, the soldiers came to the mine. The commander scolds about the small amount of mithril mined. The Molotans can't stand it and begin to revolt. The chief orders them killed, but then Dariel intervenes. Since he knows every spell and how long it takes to read it, he attacks the soldiers one by one. So as not to injure anyone, he keeps his sword in its sheath. The numerical advantage is clearly not in his favor, but that does not stop him, because you just need to simply eliminate the commander. On reaching him, the commander begged for mercy and told him that he was not a military man, and that he only got the job because of his connections. Dariel releases the dark soldiers along with the commander, then returns to the village and reports that he has recaptured the mine from the demons. Meanwhile, at the demons, Bashbarza talks about his project, which multiplies the magical power, but it requires a lot of mithril, so he increased the supply. Though the miners are exhausted, this is only to his delight, since this mine is Dariel's achievement. But he is reported that they no longer own the mine and the demon lord summons him. Having come to the lord, he receives a reprimand from him. He says that his project was of no use to anyone. Bashbarza's father was a great general because he listened to people like Dariel, but he banished him and now Dariel is irrevocably lost to them. With the mine repelled, life in the village began to boom, but the more people the more noise. Dariel arrived at the commotion. Their Gashita was arguing with the visiting adventurers. They were those pompous morons, but Dariel was polite to them. As they were leaving, however, he told them that where they came from, the adventurers had missed a monster snake, who had wandered into the countryside and the two of them had to clean up after them. As it turned out, they were the ones who missed the monster. A messenger with adventurers arrived in the village to negotiate with the miners, but they were afraid to communicate with him. So he asked Dariel to help negotiate with them. It wasn't too difficult, just asking to hear him out was all it took, so they agreed right away. When Dariel emerged from the mine, the demons began broadcasting through magic, in an attempt to bring the miners back. He recognized the broadcaster's voice and went to see him. The broadcaster turned out to be a co-worker of Dariel's. He tells him that since he left the army, things have only gotten worse and are cracking at the seams. They need him and asks to come back. But Dariel refuses, as he has found a new home. But he offers to negotiate the sale of mithril to the demons. After all, if the demons do not have a supply of mithril, there will be a war over the mine again. And to avoid this, simply to establish trade relations. But during the negotiations, the adventurous upstart attacked the demon, but was defended by Dariel. The upstart was reprimanded by his employer because he was hired to protect him, not to interfere in negotiations. Marika complains that she was groped by an old man. Dariel went to deal with him, but it was not just any old man, but a mithril smith. He recognized Dariel's aura and was fired up to make weapons for him. The old man asked to take him to the smithy, but Dariel says they won't let them in because it's run by adventurers he doesn't get along with. The old man says that he will show a master class in negotiation and they will definitely be allowed in. After asking the adventurer for a place in the forge, the adventurer agrees. And there the grandfather demonstrates his mastery of forging mithril. The upstart, seeing his grandfather's skills, asked to work in the forge, but the old man did not accept his offer. The old man took the sword away from Dariel, saying it didn't fit him. He would create a special weapon to match his aura. After all, the apprentice had already assembled their portable smithy, only it works on magic. Asked for help from a demon friend, they set to work. The upstart offered his services so they wouldn't get screwed with the mine. But knowing what a rotten man he is, he refused. So he challenged him to a duel. The next day it was time for the duel. The weapon for Dariel was already ready. It takes the form of a directed aura, so it can change. With it he calmly breaks his opponent's mithril weapon, thus winning the duel. The ambassador apologizes for the adventurer and says they will be punished severely, but Dariel himself asks to determine the punishment. He asks simply to rebuild the abandoned houses where they all help each other in the village. The ambassador asks Dariel to transfer to the central guild because people like him are needed there. Marika heard about this and was very upset. In the evening she sneaked into Dariel's bathhouse to talk about it. Dariel thought that Gashita had entered the bathhouse, which caused one incident. She says she knows he will be leaving soon, so she wants to spend more time with him. But Dariel reassures her. He says that she sheltered him when he was wandering alone in the woods, so he will stay with her. After that, they spend the night together. Meanwhile, General Bashbaz is summoned by his father, and after talking to him, he asks how Dariel is doing and if he listens to his advice. He answers that he and Dariel are doing well. His father couldn't stand this lie any longer and punched him. He orders him to find Dariel, apologize to him, and bring him back. But the son refuses. He is full of ambition to get everything himself and he doesn't need wimps like him. After which he leaves in a rage. In the morning, Marika's mother catches them in the room, but she says nothing, only happy for them. Dariel decides to take responsibility and ask his father for his daughter's hand, but the head overtakes him with a request to take his place. Dariel agrees, but before doing so he asks permission to marry Marika. Marika hears this and throws herself into Dariel's arms in her usual manner. This time he manages to redirect the force and takes off with her. He says he wants to be happy as a couple, but she corrects him and says she's pregnant. So stop. It's suspicious. You spend one night and the next morning you're pregnant. Okay, let's figure that she got all the juice out of him overnight and so she's sure she's pregnant after that. A year has passed, Dariel already had a son. Life in the village went on as usual until a hero arrived in the village. Dariel is afraid of being discovered because the hero may recognize him, but it is not the same hero he met on the battlefield, but his heir. The heroes themselves came to order mithril weapons and find a new companion for their group. Dariel takes the group of heroes to the forge. There he explains the properties of mithril and why it is so valuable. Also presents the best smith in the village. The blacksmith confuses the hero with a companion, but immediately corrects himself. Just like the old blacksmith, he can determine an aura as soon as he holds hands. After determining the aura, he accepts the order. The hero reminds us that they are here for 2 reasons. Upon hearing this, an enthusiastic Gashida wants to help with it. He organized a tournament, all wishing against the hero and his companions. They are, by the way, armed with improvised means, giving the inhabitants a head start. Having dealt with all the inhabitants, the hero relaxes, but there is a sudden attack. Gashida is shot from afar while sitting in a tree. He misses the hero, but it is only a trick and the arrows fly from the back. Sensing that she is beginning to concede, she wants to make her heroic strike, but then Dariel intervenes. He throws an apple at the hero. The hero is interested. She senses the strength in him and offers to fight, but he refuses. She understands and respects his decisions and begins to attack without warning. And then the fight between Dariel and Hero begins. He is in no way inferior to Hero. She decides to no longer hold back and fight to the fullest. She takes up real weapons and decides to attack with the hero's trump card. The move is called the Heaven Breaker. Dariel recognizes this trick, as he has seen it used more than once by a previous hero. He decides to repeat it from memory and interrupts it with his Heaven Breaker. She is very impressed and the hero's party asks him to join them, but Dariel politely blows them off and leaves. The heroine doesn't want to give up. She keeps asking Dariel why he won't join. Dariel explains that he wants to see his son grow up and be with his family, and he also has concerns as village head. The next day she decided to follow Dariel and figure out what he was doing that was so important that it was more important than defeating the demon lord. Using the same disguise as Dariel the last time, they follow him. I wonder if they had the same stealth teacher. They see him cheering up the blacksmith, cleaning up the guild, and generally helping all the villagers. She decides to talk to him again. She asks how he knows this trick. Dariel replies that he was just imitating her, that's all. The hero says that he can only create a simple ripper, and he has a terrifying one and only the last hero could create such a ripper. Dariel says he didn't know that. The heroine attacks Dariel. She says that it is strange that he is so strong and doesn't know simple things. With that kind of power he should take up arms instead of sitting in the village. Dariel, in turn, says that he doesn't think demons are bad. When he fought them in the mine they didn't want to kill unarmed ones. The heroine tells us that the previous hero was turned into a monster by the demons because they killed his wife, and not even ashes were left of the child. But Dariel admits that he has friends on both sides and will not fight them. She finally backs down. If he doesn't want to fight, then he will train her. He agrees since the hero will be with her and he can change her view of demons. Once again, Dariel finds 2 reasons to help the hero. The next day, the demon Rizet visits the village on business, and the demon Lord General followed him and she found Dariel in the village. Dariel notices the medal on his friend. Rizet says that he is now an ambassador from the demon lord, a position he did not have before because it was not necessary when Dariel was with them. But now in importance it is on a par with that of the generals of the Lord of Darkness. Then the general appears and says, "So you think we're failing?" The general reprimands the demon. They searched for Dariel, and he knew where he was the whole time and didn't say a word. Now she switches to Dariel and starts insulting him, that he was talentless and so on, but unfortunately for her Marika heard it. She scared the general of the Lord of Darkness with a cork from a bottle. What a woman! The general explains that she needs an artifact of mithril and that's why she followed the demon. And she orders her to give all the mithril, but Dariel refuses. She starts to get carried away and threatens Dariel, but one look from Marika is enough to tame her. Dariel suggests we discuss this outdoors. After stepping away from the village, she attacks without warning and says she will teach a lesson. But with a slight movement of her hand, Dariel wins. She says it doesn't count, let's do it again. Was that allowed or what? After numerous defeats, she decides to simply demolish all the houses in the village and then quietly find mithril. Dariel cannot allow this to happen and uses the Heaven Breaker to absorb the general's magic. She falls and Dariel picks her up, but not successfully. In the process, he pulls her panties off. Had it been Rudius, he would have had a new family heirloom. She sobs and blackmails Dariel and he agrees to sell the mithril at a low price. After taking her to the forge, Dariel remembers the hero. He decides to load the hero's paddy with errands so they don't cross paths with the general. However, the meeting can't be avoided. The hero and the general of the wind meet in the bathhouse. Dariel is afraid that they will kill each other there and interferes. And in an attempt to break them up he gets slapped in the face. At dinner, he explains he doesn't want anyone's deaths, humans or demons, because he is a man raised by demons. But the feud between the hero and the general just won't go away. That's why they had a duel. To win the duel, they exploited the blacksmith all night, not the way he would have wanted them to. He made them a sword and an artifact in one night. The duel has begun, the battle is on an equal footing. Then Marika came to check on Dariel. Little Gran saw the bait and jumped to them. The battle began to collapse and Dariel covered the baby with himself. Immediately he was covered by the hero and the general on the pair. That was the end of the duel, the hero and the general of the demon lord chatting sweetly with each other. It was the kind of thing Dariel could only dream of. Gran Bash Barza came to see the demon lord. He notices that the lord's appearance has become scarier than it was before. The lord says he doesn't know what he sees, because his appearance mirrors the power of the interlocutor. If the species has become more powerful, it means it has become stronger. Gran Bash Barza asks that his son be removed from command, as he has been locked up and slacking off on his duties for a whole year. This must be done for the sake of the demon army. But the Lord says that he's definitely not asking this for the army, but for himself, since he is angry that his son kicked out Dariel, who was taken in by Bashbars and raised as his own. And then he catches a flashback as his predecessor dying said that he hid a weapon against the hero. When he got there, he didn't find any weapon, only a child. That was Dariel. The Lord said where Dariel was now, but it was unlikely he could bring him back. So Bashbarza advanced toward Dariel. The old hero decided to visit the village, though he is a real killing machine, but he is friendly with people. Dariel warned the Wind General about this and asked him to leave as soon as possible, and most importantly not in any case not to witchcraft, as the hero can sense magic. Dariel asks the hero what brings him to this village. He answers that he has heard a rumor that his apprentice has found a new mentor. And since his wounds have healed, he can continue to train the new hero. He also warns that he sensed a strange entity on the way to the village and gestures to Gashida. Dariel responds with relief that it is their strongest adventurer in the village. The hero has been practicing with his apprentice and notices that she has improved her swordsmanship. She tells him that it was Dariel who trained her. The hero decides to challenge him and see what he is made of. Daryl is horrified by its power and decides to postpone the duel by offering to eat first. As they dined, the general watched them and did not understand why so much fuss was made over this hero. She was about to leave when the laundry was blown away by the wind and she used magic to pick it up. The hero sensed the demon's presence and immediately changed. He threw the staff toward the demon, and soon he came himself. Daryl interceded for the general, saying he wouldn't let anyone else's blood spill. The hero ignores Daryl and walks toward his goal, but Daryl grabs the general with him. The hero notices that he has never met anyone with the same disposition to all types of auras as he does. He offers to be a hero and exterminate all demons. But Daryl wants peace, and not out of nobility, but out of selfishness. After all, the pain of his loved ones is also his pain. After all, he was raised by demons, so he won't let blood spill. The hero asks how old Daryl is, and he answers that he is 33. And the hero realizes that Daryl is his son. But then he senses the presence of another demon, and it turns out to be Grand Bashbarza. It seems that bloodshed cannot be avoided after all. Daryl comes between Grand Bashbaz and the hero. He asks to hear him out. Bashbaza says that he guessed that he is human, but that he only recently learned that he is the son of the hero. The hero is angry. Yes, his son is alive, but the time he missed will never come back. Gran understands and asks him to take his rage out on him, as someone has to answer for it. Daryl is confused. He doesn't know what to do, and while he was calibrating, Marika showed up and cooled their fervor. She said she didn't know what was going on, but she wouldn't let the grandfathers punch each other in front of her grandson. They are surprised. Daryl picked up. Yes, time cannot return, but the hero can make up for it with his grandson. Thus the two nemeses tried on each other. Meanwhile, at the demons, the younger Bashbaz finally came out of his lair. He has an exaltation ceremony. But the hall is empty. He asks what's wrong. He is told that everyone has declined invitations because the army is a mess. They have lost the support of the demons, and also his father went to the Lord and asked for his removal. Bashbaz with grief decided to drink, but there is not even alcohol, as there is no money, no alcohol. But before everything was normal, yes it was so when Daryl was with them. And then he goes off the rails, blows everything up and decides that he should have killed Daryl right away, instead of exiling him. So he went after him. The hero and the general of the Lords of Darkness is babysitting his grandson. The baby starts to get cranky and at that moment the phone rings. Yes, the phone in fantasy, but we're not used to it anymore. It was Rizit. The baby heard him and asked to speak to him. In his childish way, he tried to explain something, and Rizit asked him to pass the phone to the person who had offended him. Looks like someone's going to have a problem. The next day, the young heroine asks to train her. Daryl asks if she wants to fight demons, because not all of them are bad. She answers that every hero's duty is to defeat the Lord of Darkness so that world peace can prevail. Hero says that this is the official version, but in fact, at the very top believe that if you defeat the demon lord, it will be possible to master magic and people can also conjure. The heroine still decided to fight and find out the truth herself. They are interrupted by an urgent report. A monster has attacked the mine. When they go there, they see a salamander pouring fire down the mine. There are no casualties among the workers, but the knockers remain in the mine. Daryl goes to their rescue, while his father decides to go with him. The others decide to subdue the salamander. Their attacks do no damage, but her attacks, on the other hand, can barely withstand them. But the salamander is not interested in them, and her attention is focused on Daryl. Realizing that the salamander won't let knockers free because of the collapse, Daryl pairs up with his father to hit the salamander. Landing her on the ground, the salamander and Daryl look at each other. Apparently having lost the game of staring, she retreats. Grand Bashbarza decides to go back, using the Wind General as a transport to fly away. Daryl, on the other hand, sets out to rescue the knockers from their rocky captivity. Back in Demon Land, Grand Bashbarza interrogates his son. Did he use the forbidden spell? The son didn't argue much, but he did use it, even though it's very dangerous. It unites the mind with the animals and also erases the caster's mind. Bashbarza wants to beat the crap out of his son, but he can't do it because his son flew away on a salamander. After releasing the knockers, Dariel is informed that one worker is missing and has not returned from the mine. Dariel and the knockers set out to find the missing worker. While they are searching the mine, a head comes out of the wall and asks if they know the one whose name is Dariel. Dariel says no and tries to run away, but the exit is sealed. The head says that because of this man, his friend the salamander attacked him. Dariel decides to confess that it is him. The head says he is not offended, the salamander is driven by his master's desire. He asks to see a part of his body that they call mithril. Dariel shows his blade, the head admires the work done by the smith. However, even better can be done and he pumps Dariel's weapon. As he bids him farewell, the giant warns that there will soon be fighting in the village and disappears. Forewarned is forearmed. Dariel meets an uninvited guest on the approach to the village. He wants to negotiate, but the younger Bashbarza is in no mood to negotiate. He notices Dariel has the ring and promises to kill everyone he cares about. Negotiation time is over. Dariel takes on Junior, and the others take on the salamander. During the fight, Dariel asks why he is so angry at him. Junior says that it is not anger that drives him, but a dream of peace. When all the humans are gone and only demons are left, then there will be peace, and he decided to start with the traitor, who defected to their side. Dariel says he won't let that happen, but he only got punched during the fight. The younger man brags about how strong he's gotten this year, because he hasn't sat idle all this time. Dariel, on the other hand, praises him, saying that he did a good job, for he has talent and has always been diligent. The only problem is, he can't see what's going on around him and offers to be his eyes, so he can rely on him. But the younger man continues to be hysterical and gets a rip from heaven in return. He is angry because he had to reveal the trump card he had prepared against the hero. Do you think that helped him? Of course not. Except that the spell was consuming him more and more. In the heat of battle from behind a shared consciousness spell, Dariel saw Junior's memories. The younger Bashbarza always wanted to be with his father, but he was always in the army and came home a couple of times a year. Then he decided to join the army, but his mother set the condition that he would join only when he graduated with honors from the School of Magic. So he did. But when he joined the army, his father retired and he never got to be with his father. Dariel, on the other hand, says that they gave him a family and he is willing to do the same for him now. The salamander is out of control. The younger one decides to merge with her and take her away before her consciousness merges into one. But Grand Bashbarza, along with Dariel, will not allow himself to be sacrificed. And they pluck him from Salamandra's body. The younger Bashbarza is saved. Dariel returns to the village with everyone else and is greeted by Marika. She flies at full speed. Dariel braced for broken ribs, but no, she hugs him gently. Or not. Meanwhile, the younger Bashbarza went to the Lord. The Lord says that he is young and makes mistakes, so he will give him a second chance and he can start from scratch as a general. Or he can go straight to hell, where he holds and tortures generals who, like him, have committed crimes. Bashbarza thanks him, but still chooses hell, as there is no forgiveness for his actions. The Lord says he is bored with him, because he wanted to reassure him before sending him to hell. And he takes all the fun out of it. The Lord of Darkness says that he is banished from the army and can go on all four sides, after which he comes to visit Dariel. After apologizing to everyone, of course, he is forgiven. After the party, the youngest goes to atone for his sins to those whom he has harmed, and then to go on a wander to see the world. Dariel wishes him good luck on his journey. The end. The anime is pretty naive in my opinion, but does that make it bad? Definitely not. If you haven't seen the anime, I definitely recommend watching it from the first episode. Don't forget the likes, subscriptions and comments are important fuel for every YouTuber. And also an indicator that my work was not in vain. Thank you all for watching and see you soon.